You know, the sense of community in Juneau, what the Chamber of Commerce does, what the Visitors Association does, you know, the arts. There's so much arts in Juneau, and we really look forward to the annual folk festival that goes on for about a week. That's really extremely unique. You know, we were well received in Juneau. We really were, and we really appreciated that, and got to know a lot of people, do a lot of things. You know, it sort of took me back to my roots a little bit. You know, Juneau is more like Valdez than Anchorage is by far. I love ice skating here and doing the things, and whether at Treadwell, you know, rink or out on the lake, going fishing. You know, Byron and I would take his boat and go fishing just on an afternoon. So I just really enjoyed Juneau. I'll miss Juneau a lot. We both will, because we both really enjoyed it. So, you know, because we put together a team of folks that were people before politics. We didn't have a party affiliation, and so that was really that was a gift. That was we could do things differently just because, you know, this table was full of folks that from all different walks of life, different backgrounds. Many of them did not apply. Many of them, I went to them and said, I need you to serve, and some I had to go to several times to convince them they needed to serve. And so that was it. That had a very exciting feel to me, that we could do this differently and take the partisanship out of this room. And you don't take it out of this building, but you take it out of this room. I was surprised that as things got closer to elections, how the focus of the decisions had so much to do with re-election. So many folks openly said to me they couldn't do this or that because if they did, they couldn't get re-elected. And that surprised me that they were so open about that. Some of them, that was a higher priority than really what was best for, you know, for Alaska. And so I was maybe a bit naive in that regard. I just made some assumptions that we would see more, sort of more backbones than wishbones, and so there were wishbones of hoping that the price of oil would come up, you know, bounce up to $150 a barrel, and you know, back in the you know, in the black, but that just wasn't realistic. Here's the deal: there's a lot of great legislators. No, don't get me wrong. I don't like to paint them all with a broad brush of any sort. There are a lot of great legislators, but I was just disappointed in the sort of some that were just very open that I couldn't possibly do any of the things we're trying to do on the fiscal plan because it would jeopardize their re-election. I just thought how disappointing that is. So just as an Alaskan, not as a governor, just as a lifelong Alaskan, I thought, wow, that's just. I never would have thought of it that way. So I don't think anybody finishes their to-do list because there's so many things you want to do in this position. I did not anticipate we would have to spend so much time wrestling with the fiscal situation. We just decided that we have to get our fiscal house in order, and it's and I'm glad we did. You know, we did that. And without that, Senate Bill 26 was a significant accomplishment by the legislature. Obviously, it's a bill we submitted, the Permanent Fund Protection Plan, and so that was significant, and it just took a long time to get that through. It took 3.5 years to get that through. So that took a lot of air out of the room. Medicaid expansion certainly was a significant thing. Anytime you provide health care for 44,000 Alaskans that otherwise would not have health care, you know, and my own cancer that was diagnosed in year 2. Was certainly is an acknowledgement for me of how important it is to be able to have health care, to get regular checkups and not rely upon emergency room. By the time you get there, typically it's and some diseases it's too late. You know, our the resource development efforts we did, you know, being part of the opening of ANWR, pretty significant. We've been trying to do that for about 30 or 40 years. What we've done on the gas line, I think, is significant. You know, we put it on a world stage, and during that 3.5 years, they drew down about $14 billion in a savings account. I would have used that savings account. I would have paid off the PERS insurance obligation. I would have done all the deferred maintenance in the state, which is about close to $2 billion. I would have done capital projects with that were beneficial to resource development in Alaska. We've been talking about roads up north on the ASAP plan, as far as rather than ice roads, have permanent roads so that we can have access year-round rather than just, you know, 100 days a year in the winter. And so there's been so much I would have done with that. And I come from a building background. I ran for governor to build. So many use that, unfortunately, as sort of a hiding place for courage. was the savings account, and I would have solved that problem by getting rid of that savings account, because it went away anyway. It's just that they took the 3.5 years to get there. So I would have definitely done that. That we would have been free and clear on the PERS and TERS obligation. Those kinds of things we'd be pretty much debt free. But to be one of only 10 other Alaskans have had that honor, and it really, in having known, Governor Egan in Valdez, Governor Hickel was a mentor of mine, co-chaired my first campaign, encouraged me to run for governor. Governor Hammond was somebody who I had met, and a great respect for him, and we spent time with Bella Hammond a couple of times in the summer. We'd stop by in Lake Clark and spent some time with her before I was governor, and then while I was during my term as governor. So I'm just it's such an honor for me I don't focus on kind of how long, if I was here another 4 years, I'd be having the same conversation as far as, about things we wish we'd gotten done and whatnot. I'd love to have seen, I think the biggest loss, quite honestly, is I'd love to have seen this model of bipartisan or no partisanship another 4 years without a fiscal crisis. When I mentioned this to Governor-elect Dunleavy, I said, this is gonna be the most enjoyable, 4 years of your life to be the governor, because you will learn things that you otherwise would not have learned, and it really is that you learn. I mean, you come into this job, proud of Alaska, and you don't have to be a governor to be proud of Alaska, but after 4 years, you really are. As far as last weekend, we spent a lot of time with our grandkids, and I went out to our cabin about an hour and a half toward Denali, and the water was frozen. I got to get my Carhartts on, my torches out, and thaw the water. And a tree had fallen down in front of one of my trucks in the way for plowing. So I got out my chainsaw and bucked up the tree and used it for firewood. It felt pretty good to do that. I got to tell you, it really did. It didn't. None of that required 11 votes from the Senate or 21 votes from the House. And so I'm looking forward to sort of getting back to things I've not been able to do. I love building things, physically building things. That's my passion, and so back to doing stuff with with the family and whatnot. So I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be